Hello, viewing several. I hope everybody is okay. Yeah, just a bit of a random fun stream with my friend Adam, and we were thinking about the kind of comedy. I mean, we've touched upon this before, but I don't think me and Adam have done it. I did it with Amanda James and Shin and Tiffany. We talked about Lorne's kind of inability. Oh, I should have said the problems that he would have on dates, the kind of comedy potential of the funny things he comes out with, things like that. So I thought, wouldn't it be funny if we talked about what we've learned from his escapades, and it's the catfishing calls mainly that we've got this stuff from. So I thought, oh, wouldn't it be good to sort of have a bit of a fun chat about, what have we learned from him? So, like, how not to become a predator was my kind of idea. What can we do to avoid becoming a Lorne and having to scrape the bottom of the barrel and going after the weakest of the bunch? However, what's even funnier is Adam's come up with a completely different thing. He's been writing ideas about how to become a predator. No bullshit. That's what he said before this fucking stream started.
You're twisting my words.
No, twisting your melon, man.
Twisting my melon, man, yeah. Black grape. No, happy Mondays. Anyway.
Yeah, same thing.
Same thing. No, I was writing just some... if I was giving, like, if Lorne was creating, like, you know of Andrew Tate's Hustlers University?
Yes.
So this would be like Lorne's Virgin Special Education. And
why would anybody enroll for that, is what I'm wondering. I mean, Hustlers University is kind of like, you want to be like Andrew Tate. So in other words, you want women following you around, shitloads of money, world famous. There's an initial inherent problem with with Lorne's Predator University, but I like the concept.
Well, yeah, I mean, if Lorne was trying to start something like that, what advice he would give? And I've only managed a couple of paragraphs because I literally had about 15 minutes to come up with something.
I'm surprised you've not managed a couple of books with all you'd know on the subject, but
well, I did manage to
start somewhere.
I did write a poem once in 15 minutes, but that was given to a 13-year-old.
Okay, I want to see it. And then I'll give it to the 13-year-old that I'm warning away from predators.
Courting. Yeah, warning. Talk to me, I'm a good guy.
Yeah,
but...
I've got to go and feed her, actually. Hang on a minute.
And that's, she was never seen again.
Oh, dear. Yeah, so, there's lots of... The thing is with Lorne, it's like, I'll never forget what an Amanda James said to us on a stream once. I think it was just me, Shin, and Amanda James, and I said to her, how do you kind of view Lorne from a woman's perspective? Can you give me, like, an idea of how different he might look? Because obviously we look at it, we don't judge Lorne on a potential mate, unless you're gay, of course, which... I don't know.
What do you mean? I don't know. You can.
Well, it's not really my thing. I don't know, but
no,
I'm just saying, if you are, I assume you're not going to be interested in Lorne. But the point is, we look at him as another guy, and we obviously don't particularly, we see the funny side of it and all that. But a woman is going to look at him, and there's going to be that part of her that's going to weigh him up as a potential mate. And I never thought of it like that. And she just said, he. What was it? How she worded it now? It was he basically is everything vile to a woman, and it always stuck with me that. Poor Lorne.
Well, yeah, but he is though, isn't he? Like he's ugly. He's got no like redeeming features, and I
think there's worse.
Not that it's so public, not that presents themselves so publicly.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, what I mean is, he has some attributes in that he's not a genocidal maniac, as far as we know, and he will actually work, even if it's not, like, he's not totally lazy. He's not one of the, I'd say he's borderline unemployed.
But I think he is, isn't he kind of been perpetually unemployed for a while now? And also, like, he's really irresponsible when he does work. Like when he's driving truck, he sleeps for 4 hours and falls asleep at the wheel and shit. Like
he's not a well-adjusted person, is what we're getting at.
No, he is physically unattractive and.
Andy is physically unattractive, you cheeky bastard.
I said, and he is. Oh,
right,
well,
you fucker.
No, Lorne is physically unattractive. I'm sure you're physically attractive to some guys.
Turn your phone off, you twat.
Sorry, it's on. I thought it was on silent. It is on silent. What?
That was me messaging you. Turn your phone off, you twat. Read the message.
Right now, I've lost my train of thought. But yeah, Lorne's he's a. I think I am in touch with my feminine side enough to know that if that's I'm always touching my feminine side. No one else will. But like I think he is quite obviously ugly and he just doesn't look after himself. And I mean that's I don't go to the gym very often and stuff. I've had a very lucky metabolism, but Lorne's just he's got fucking fungus on his feet and things like that. Like that's obviously someone that doesn't wash properly, because who gets like what he said in one of them calls, wasn't he? Well, when Will gets into his 40s, he'll have horrible grotty feet, and it's like, no, I mean I've been in my 40s for a couple of years now, and my feet are still as pretty as the day I was born.
Yeah. All it takes is a daily shower. It's not difficult.
Yeah. So he's got mold growing on his feet. He looks like he looks like that guy from the Goonies, but worse. And like, hey, you guys, and he's a horrible person. So not really. There's not really anything for anyone to love there, is there?
No, he's got it to do from a dating perspective. Yeah, definitely. But I was kind of like thinking, just putting aside the kind of predator element of him having to explain the fact that he's an RSO, and he's remarked a few times that this is a problem for him, which of course it would be. Anybody that had even a tiny bit of, if you want to call it, self-awareness of his situation, that maybe people are not going to look favourably upon it. But taking that aside and just looking at him as a person, and we can introduce stuff that we know from the Catfish calls, because that's the sort of biggest intel we've got really, is to his personality, his day-to-day personality, and his kind of little, inklings and nuances and stuff. What it's how he views a relationship and his entitlement.
Yeah.
But I have.
I deserve someone better than me.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, it's in one of the calls. I can't remember which call. I heard it quite recently. I think it might be with Tiffany, or when she was Debbie, or I think it. And she's like, why is it the call? And I might be getting them mixed up, but it might be the one where he's going on about wanting a chance, and they discuss the line in Dumb and Dumber, when she says it's like 1 in a million. He goes, oh, so you're saying there's a chance? And she says something like, well, why do you think you deserve? And he goes, because I deserve someone better than me. Those words actually came out of his mouth. Like, I think subconsciously he's aware. It's like entitlement, isn't it? It's like a sort of narcissistic entitlement.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. I think he knows that he's got a lot of work to do on himself, and he wants the easy way out, which is, right, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get lucky and get somebody who's way out of my league, like Jamie Amy. Jamie Boutte.
Well, when you think about that as well, like, he was really offensive to her in the original form. like when they first spoke, he said like because he was like, oh, you're did he referred to her vagina as, was it mud flaps or something? It was really like, yeah, it was really like
Mud
quite
flaps.
quite where he's like, because she's been in porn or whatever, and he referred to her vagina as like massive mud flaps or something, and would just like outright call her a slut and a whore, and she would be like trying to sort of say, well, look, I'm making money from doing something I enjoy doing, which is fair enough, but like it just show, I think he's got like a misogyny, but he doesn't think that it's misogynistic, his behavior. He thinks that it's what he deserves. And I think he thinks if this woman, but of course this woman has to be attractive, and up to what his standards deem. Because didn't he, like, for all we say about him, like the fucking freak that he is, but didn't he say that didn't he reject Ember, or is that one of these? So I don't. There's
I don't want to go.
Yeah,
I don't want to go down that road.
Yeah, no, probably best not. Anyway, it's all speculation because you'll never get a true story on that anyway. But yeah, he believes he deserves something better than he.
Well, that's indicative to his character. I think the most hilarious and biggest stumbling block of all, and this is some bold statement with all the fucking problems that he would exert in a relationship, is the entitlement, but the way it manifests with regard to his kind of control over the actual, not necessarily the other person, but the relationship as a whole. I suppose the two go hand in hand. And what better summarises this than his bizarre marriage proposals? And we've talked about this endlessly, which is one of his most... I mean, this guy's come out with some classic moments. But, like, will you marry me? You better be saying yes pretty fucking soon. No. And then the robot goes, no.
Well, you better be saying yes pretty soon, because that'll work. When someone turns down your proposal, the next step is threatening them.
Yeah, but it's funny because what Lorne meant was, it's not like, right, if you don't say soon, I'm going to kill you. It's because basically what he means is, if you don't say yes soon, then the relationship is going to end. So basically what he's getting at there is he wants some form of commitment. But it's the way it comes across, and the fact that, like somebody's just said I think it's George Glass has just said in the comments, he's so impulsive. The first thing that pops into his brain is, that's exactly the emotion, is the entitlement. It's like, no, you need to be saying yes pretty soon. So it just fucking comes out. That's what he says. Yeah. But it's like, he's got no impulse control. He's quite entitled. It can be aggressive. It can be unpleasant. That's why it's so funny. And it's because he's not a good communicator. So he's not articulate, and he's got no impulse control. And I think that's where the humour comes from. And that's why when he comes out with these comments, I mean, we talked about this earlier when I rang you up and said, oh, let's just chat shit for a bit. I've not heard this, and I think it was Shin that told me on one of the streams where he said, do you want to marry me, or do you want to be a disgusting piece of shit?
It sounds like the sort of thing he would definitely say, doesn't it?
Don't know.
Do you want to marry me, or do you want to be a disgusting piece of shit? Those are your two choices. Like, which is the lesser of two evils there? Like, if you say no, you're a disgusting piece of shit. What the fuck? It's like manipulative, but it's so obvious, or not even obvious, but it's so aggressive that it's just fucking weird.
It is weird, but it's not unusual in that toxic relationships, that's what happens. People come out with all kinds of nasty... When a relationship doesn't work and you've got two characters that are... I mean, in this case, there's only ever one because Lorne is never in a real relationship. But when you have somebody like... when you have a situation where you've got two people who, for whatever reason... It's usually when two people are afraid to let the other one go. you know.
Yeah.
And it basically doesn't work. You've got two people who are dysfunctional, and for whatever reason they won't leave the relationship, and then you add, you know, drink into the mix, and it creates those kind of scenarios, doesn't it? Where you've got people saying, I mean, that just. We need to find if there's anyone in the chat who knows of where we can listen. It obviously must have been something he said to Winnie. It sounds like there was some call where Winnie was, you know, probably shitting herself again, and Lorne was probably going, "Well, do you want to carry on? You want to marry me, or do you want to be a disgusting piece of shit?" In other words, he's gonna look after her, like. You know, that's what it sounds like. But for someone to say that, you know, like that might be like the most disgusting marriage proposal ever. And the fact that it was said to a fictional character being played by someone that was just all out to destroy Lorne is quite remarkable, really.
It's like, do you want to marry me, or do you want to be a fucking idiot all your life?
Imagine he's like, yes, I do.
Yeah. Well, I suppose I better, or I don't want to be an idiot all my life.
I don't want to be a disgusting piece of shit. Yeah, well, where do I sign?
Yeah, I mean, if that's my only option, then...
Let's get to Vegas straight away.
But I think, you know, there are some lessons we can learn from Lorne.
Like, don't tell a woman how the relationship is. This is like something, I think it was the Jeffrey call. Where he tells her, like, the status of the relationship. Like, the robot goes, we're not together. Yes, we fucking are together. It's like, you can't just tell the other person what the relationship status is.
To be fair, I have dated a couple of girls that when I've tried to break up with them, they've been like, no, we're fucking not broken up. And
yeah. I think we've all been there, and I might have done similar things in my very younger, silly days, but we're not going to that.
But yeah, it's being in your 40s and doing that's a bit weird. No, well, do you want to hear what I wrote about? I actually titled it, and it's the working title of How to Win a Woman.
Everything you ever do is a working title.
Yeah. I know. Well, it's finished. Sort of half. It's only a few paragraphs. So, but if you were Lorne and you were giving advice to people, then I think you'd say something like, one of the first things you need to do is make sure to separate the woman from every other man in their life. And always remember that all women are cock junkies, and if they're ever left alone with a man, they will be certain to suck and fuck his cock. It's just in their nature. So if you have a woman that you're working towards a relationship with, and she persists in having male friends, make sure to demand to know if they have ever had any sexual interactions. It's especially important to know how many times that she may have seen his cock, whether in person or webcam. And if all else fails and she still hasn't got rid of her friend, demand that she gets him right there and her right there, so that they can tell you as a couple together that nothing is going on between them. And to the man's face, always be civil and friendly, but make sure to remind the woman behind his back that he is a cocksucker and a faggot. And a useful trick to remind the woman that you're working towards a relationship with, to get in line when she's being reprehensible, is to shout a name of your worst ever girlfriend. For example, if a woman named Vanessa had broken your heart and got a restraining order against you, then shout the name Vanessa at your current beau repeatedly, even if she has no idea who that is. And make sure to keep the woman you're working towards a relationship with in her place, so that she doesn't get ideas above her station that she might find a better looking employed man who bathes by insulting her. A good insult to use is cheap fucking slut, because this not implies only that she is a slut, but that she offers these services for little to no remuneration.
Wow.
So
This doesn't sound like an appealing prospect.
that's Lorne's dating advice. If you were Lorne giving dating advice.
So, total and utter control over the other individual is what you're saying. The
Well, yeah,
social
basically.
circles.
But that's just some ways you can make that happen.
Oh yeah. Well, the problem is with Paul Lorne. Every time he's in a relationship, so to speak, if you let's just buy into it. There's always a male figure hanging around that's trying to take him down, isn't there? Like you watch.
Yeah.
There was Derek was his first
Dan,
nemesis.
Derek, yeah. Derek.
Let's go in order. So first there was Derek, then there was Dan. No.
Doctor
Derek
was before
the
Dan.
Doctor. Then
the
Dan.
therapist.
Oh yes, the doctor and the therapist within the same. So that
Catfish,
nearly destroyed him. So after Ramona, there was Winnie.
Yeah.
So
Well,
with
there
Winnie,
was
you had
Dan, and there
Dan.
was Victor, who he wasn't really like. But I think Winnie on occasion just wanked his cock off or sucked him off just for some reason, because she was in sex rehab and stuff. Just because he happened to be there with a cock. So yeah, you've got Victor as well.
So that's that from, and then the Debbie wasn't there somebody called Angelo?
Oh yeah,
Piece of shit,
Angelo.
Angelo's
Yeah,
actually
one
in the
ball,
chat.
Angelo. Angelo had one ball, but he could still win Debbie away from Lorne, and yeah,
Who was
because
the
that's
next one?
Right. Who came next? Did Sheffrey come before Rod?
No, but we've not even got into the next. We've not even
Wait.
got into his next relationship yet.
Who was his next relationship?
After Debbie, it would have been Casey. Casey
But that's the first, or that's Casey 2, the first Casey Catfish, right? And so,
Yeah.
and that one was a bit confusing, and because
I still can't figure that out.
Well, because it was played by both Tiffany and Ember, wasn't it? And so,
That's right.
like, there's literally one call where like an hour of it is Tiffany playing Casey, and then the next hour is Winnie playing Casey or Ember playing Casey, and it's like, and it's so like he doesn't even really, he does question it a little bit, but not much further than that. So, I don't remember that they had, off the top of my head, love interest. I think that one got quashed quite quickly, though, didn't it?
Yeah, they weren't
and then,
long-standing ones, were they?
No, and then we had Jamie, Amy.
Which, of course, you've got Jeffrey. There was somebody called
Then
James, Rod.
James, yeah.
The Will, there was always lingering around. So there was multiple people in that scenario.
Yeah.
Plus, wasn't she getting it on with that Maggie Jo as well?
Yeah, and Maggie Jo's fiance. I mean, but she was originally. She used to quite often remind Lorne that she was the anal gangbang queen of Los Angeles. So it's funny how, like, later on he sort of forgets that she's had gangbangs with 20 odd guys, and now he's getting upset that like one dude's teaching her to make some sausage.
It's funny, but like. The thing is, it's like everywhere he's been, there's always been some other guy trying to ruin it, and of course he's insecure. I mean, why wouldn't you be? If you was a sex offender and hadn't got any for maybe ever, you'd be a bit insecure as well.
Well, yeah. Probably the remedy to that is don't be a sex offender.
Oh yeah, but I mean, we can't turn the clock back, nor would we want to, because we wouldn't have had all the entertainment.
No, I know.
So it's controlling sort of nature. Women don't like to be told what the relationship status is. It's like, imagine just texting her and saying, right, we broke up today, I'm going to go out and shag some other birds. Right, I didn't get any last night, we're back together. I'm gonna come round and bang you.
Well, this is the thing, though. Like he does always kind of profess his undying love for whichever catfish, but the moment another female voice comes into the picture, he's all over it, and it doesn't matter who it is. If it's like a teenage daughter or if it's a sister, he's got absolutely no morals when it comes to himself either. Like, he expects these women to be devout to him and not even have male friends. But he would be, if he wasn't so, like, if he was actually someone with a bit of charisma and semi-attractive, he would be cheating all over the place. But he can't.
Yeah, well, he proved it with the Jessica Simpson. Where did that come from?
She's a
Michelle
country
Simpson.
and western singer.
No, yeah. With the Michelle Simpson thing, where, like, you know, he was like, you don't have to worry about that, and then he was called out on it. It just proved, and I think the most vile one that we can come up. Oh, this is a great one, guys. Any guys out there looking for genuine dating advice? Don't try it on with your girlfriend's slightly disadvantaged daughter. That's a big no-no. Don't go there.
Yeah.
I say dating advice, so not to become a predator. That kind of would seem to be. I've got an idea on not to become a predator. Don't become a predator. Don't target children.
Yeah. Don't fancy kids, and things will be all right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely. I don't think any. You're gonna have to be. You know, you're going to be scraping the barrel if that's what you end up doing, you know.
I think you have a deviancy if that's what you end up doing. I don't think you've just exhausted all other options.
No,
I don't think that's going to hold up in a court of law. Well, Judge, the reason I met up with this 13-year-old girl was because I'd been on Tinder for months and I wasn't getting any matches, so... Oh, well, that's fair enough then. Off you go.
Well, it worked for me. I'm a free man, aren't I?
Well, that's true, but, you know, I wouldn't risk it more than the 3 or 4 times you've done it.
Oh, dear. No, my point was, if you become a predator, if you become a sex offender, it's going to be very difficult for you to get a girlfriend, one would imagine. So, therefore, you're going to have to go after women that are not very picky.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, and the sort of woman that would date a sex offender is probably not the sort of woman that you want to date.
Well,
but if you're a sex offender, then...
Look at Winnie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she wasn't real. Thank God she wasn't a real person, but yeah.
I find that I've never been able to figure out this aspect of Lorne. I mean, obviously it's because of the desperation, but like I heard him one of the robot calls. He was like, "I love you more than fucking anything," and every one that he goes out with, he says he's loved more than any of the others.
Yeah. Oh, there was one I was listening to like 2 nights ago or so. It was like auto roll on YouTube. I hadn't picked it or anything. And he goes, "I would do anything for you, within reason."
Yeah, that's typical Lorne, that, isn't it? Like in the chat log where he says to Kayla.
What?
He says in the chat log to Kayla, doesn't it? I'd die for you. I'd do anything for you within a reasonable situation.
Yeah, well, yeah. He says it on one of the calls to Winnie as well that I was listening to.
True romantic.
Yeah. What a guy.
Well, you know. So.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, is there any genuine lessons that you've taken from Lorne when you went on your last date all them years ago?
Not on the last date I went on, because that was, well, it wasn't disastrous, but it was super weird.
Oh, tell us about that, dude.
I told you about that at the time, didn't I? He was a woman in a polyamorous relationship, so I just met up with her.
Yeah.
And then, it wasn't going to go anywhere, but at least I
Polyamorous relationship. We never had any of this shit when we were super young. You didn't have to worry about any of that shit. Can you imagine just getting a girl's number in the bar or whatever, and then I just need to warn you, I'm polyamorous. What the fuck are you on about?
I did. I mean, I asked her about it. I was like, "Can I ask why? Why you're polyamorous?" I said, like, why does your boyfriend let you out to get it from other guys? And she was like,
let you out? Do you just assume that like everybody's girlfriend's tied up in the basement?
Well, yeah, based on my experience. No, but like, I said, like, why can't you just sleep with your boyfriend? She just sort of looked forlorn and went, he can't. I don't know, maybe like he had been in some accident or something, and so I just figured, so she was just allowed to go out and get done by other men. And to be fair, that worked for me because there's no baggage or strings, or it wasn't too expensive. It was kind of expensive. Like, she wanted to go bowling first, and I didn't like the bowling alley because they didn't give you, I mean, I know they smell a bit, but they didn't give you proper bowling shoes, and I'd rather be bowling in proper bowling shoes than in my trainers. Felt like a lot of money.
Disgraceful. You should have burned the place down.
Well, I've been planning to. I'll go back. But no, yeah, so to come back to your original question, what can we learn from Lorne? I think I have become a lot more self-aware of when I'm about to do something dickish, like when it comes to like relationships with a lady. If I'll stop myself before I might say something, because I'll go, maybe that sounds like something Lorne would do, and I don't want to be like that guy. So let's have a think of what we're going to word here, rather than just spouting the first angry thing that comes into your head.
You're learning, or you've learned impulse control, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think had too much of a problem with it before, but I certainly think a lot more about, does this make me a horrible person if I say this? Like, and will I regret saying this? Is this, like, let's learn to convey my feelings in an eloquent and constructive manner that doesn't cause more discourse. And I think because I listen to Lorne, and I'm like, and the way he argues and it escalates, I try to be the opposite of that. So in a way, I have learned something from him. But it's not to be like him. It's to be better than him.
Kind of wondering what females have learned from him. It's probably not good, because they're thinking, God, this is the opposite sex, Can you imagine if he was like the best people could do? You'd be like, oh my God. I mean, Lorne would hope that, and then he had the pick of the bunch. But of course, luckily, the human species is not so fucking down on its ass.
Well, no, but you never know. Like, someone young might see Lorne and think, God, is that what all men are like? And then not what they become a lesbian, and maybe they weren't really meant to be a lesbian, but because Lorne.
Part of his grooming tactics with Kayla was to make him think he was kind of like the standard version. It was like, oh yeah, it's dead normal what I do, parading around naked, telling you to not talk to your 13-year-old friends, and ignoring your parents, and counting how many years you've got down there, and all that kind of stuff. It's totally normal.
Yeah, not wanting your dad to be in the delivery room when you have a baby. In case it's too hot for him.
Oh dear, this guy.
Some boy. He's some boy.
But there's kind of like there's so many. I understand why people might stream the calls. I mean, I haven't got time to do that, but I can imagine some of them being quite good to get into and kind of break down, because they do contain a lot. Like, there's a lot of humor in there. There's things like you learn about. I mean, the problem the problem with the catfishing calls is, from Lorne's perspective, is that he can't let go, can he? Like, no. I was listening to one. I think it was the trigger of my Valentine or something. The
trigger for my Valentine, yeah.
Yeah. And it's pretty good, that. I enjoy it because it's funny because there's that bit where the robot's asking him like about his date. Did you have sex? And he goes, "Yep." He was like the worst liar ever. Like one word answer with no follow up. It's like.
Well, do you remember? Have you heard it? I'm not sure. I think it might be a Winnie call. So you might not have heard it, but the call where he talks about titty fucking the woman down by the brook, and it's just such like bollocks. Like it's like one. I think she asked him if he's ever titty fucked anyone. He's like, yeah. And she's like, when did that happen? He's like, oh, me and this girl, Brandy or whatever, we were down by the brook. And then she took her top off and said, do you want to fuck my tits? So I did.
Even third hand, it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. It wasn't like... He didn't say, oh, yeah, you know, during one of my relationships, it was something that happened at part of a night, as maybe a real person would say. It was like as if they went down to the brook for this one specific act of titty fucking.
I mean, if that happened, fair play to him, but I've never had a girl say that to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't expand upon whatever you were going to do. You remember that?
Well, I was
going to
say I don't think girls get much out of that, but then I don't think it's not what it's a fun sort of exercise in foreplay, but it's not one of the better events, is it?
No, I was going to say my opponent then. I suppose it is. But that's legally that's how it's viewed at the time.
Well, that's how I like to view sex, because like if I ejaculate really quickly, I just go I win and then walk away.
Oh, those lucky women.
Yeah, you know it. I know it.
I was there. No, it is funny listening to Lorne get caught.
I was the brook.
Yeah. Hey Lorne, did he fuck me? Sure do.
Yeah. Hey Lorne, let's go down the brook and we can. And hey Lorne, let's go down the brook and you can titty fuck me.
Oh Lorne. But yeah, that what was it now in that trigger for my Valentine is. The Lorne was getting absolutely nowhere with that robot. The robot wasn't listening. Kept like beating him round the head with the same argument all the time. He apologized, and it was like he was just getting bullied. He was getting bullied and abused. And obviously, no one cares, and no should they? It's his own fault. But if he had anything about him at all, he would have just, any guy with an ounce of self-respect would have just immediately, fuck you. I mean, it's a ridiculous thing to say because no one would be in that relationship with a fucking robot. I got into a taxi. So I went to London at the weekend to the match at Wembley, and me and my mate got an Uber back to the hotel, and we got a lot of Ubers actually. To and froing around London because I'm too lazy to fucking take public transport. And all of the Uber drivers had that fucking voice. Like, as it's turned up ahead. And it was just, just normal things that you would expect that voice to say. But it's whenever that happens, that's Lorne's girlfriend. There's a Lorne call going on in the Uber. What's going on? Because that's what because obviously it's a common, it's a common voice for automated whatever it is, but it's just like we've listened to the calls so much. It's like, was you there when I told you? If I don't know whether I told you this, dude. I mentioned it on a call with the others, right? And I was in because I like my little coffee places, and I was in a Starbucks or something, and there was a guy in there who was like quite seriously disabled. I think he had motor neurons disorder. He was in one of them special adapted chairs, and he was talking to his family that were around him, but he was using the voice box, and it was the robot voice. I started laughing, and they looked over at me, and I just couldn't stop because it was the first time I'd ever heard it in public. Yeah, no. and I was like, these people are gonna. I just had to leave. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh, dude, he probably thought you were laughing
yeah,
at him.
exactly. And I
Oh,
remember when I mentioned it in the stream at the time when I was talking to the others, and someone very amusingly put in the chat, it'd have been easier to just go over him and say, yeah, I was laughing at you, I'm a cunt, rather than explaining that this voice belongs to this robot that you listen to, that Catfish is this sex offender.
I'm not laughing at you. Let me explain. So there's this sex offender.
Yeah, exactly. It's, but it was like, it was so fucking, it was like, I mean, I don't, one of them looked over and I managed to hide my kind of laughter. I don't think they got, I don't think there was like, I managed to, you know, do a good job of subterfuge, if you call it that. It was, but it was, but even like, it was just, I don't know, it was like that when I was in London. I was listening to because I was pretty drunk, because I had a drink, I had some beers for the first time, like ever. Yeah. Like, well, not ever, obviously, in a long, long time. And then to hear that, and my team won, so it was a great day, and then to hear that robot voice in the Uber at the end of the day was great. But to Lorne, that's the thing of, like, sexual fucking fantasies. Like, go and get a condom. I'm not doing that with you right now.
He gets in an Uber and just starts like masturbating as one of those brain muscle memory. Yeah. He just pulls out a condom and starts wanking into it. The Uber driver's like, "What the fuck?" But Lorne would never be able to afford an Uber.
No. Plus, I mean, you know, I don't think he'd be able to get one in Maine. He kind of lives in the middle of nowhere.
Well, I think Ubers are everywhere now, aren't they? I don't know. I don't think we've got them here. So what am I talking about?
Oh wow! So you're more in the middle of nowhere than Lorne is.
I would say like house-wise, it's like the amount of houses are a lot closer together, and there's actually like a town. But like I am in the middle of nowhere. I'm at the bottom of a peninsula in the middle of nowhere, but it is a town.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's probably like, I mean, Lorne's got loads of like space to his neighbours and stuff. If his house wasn't so derelict and that bit of land would be really cool for parties and stuff. No one would hear you for miles, but no one's coming to his house for a party. They'll end up locked in the storage container.
I thought of something funny that Lorne does. It makes lots of assumptions about women. Like when he was talking to Casey and said, "Oh, you like, what was it? You like that? You like gold? You must like gold because you like money and you associate money with gold or something along them lines."
Well, I think he just sees it as women like gold and jewelry and flowers and chocolates because those are women's things, aren't they?
Yeah.
He doesn't think that women have sort of free will to think outside of anything but being a sort of typical.
Well, a woman having free will is basically the source of all these problems, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know,
his worst nightmare.
Yeah, it's like, oh, those pesky women with the free will. That's, you know, it's a bit of an issue for him, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, God, why did you give women free will?
Yeah.
It's got me in prison.
That was a stupid move.
Stupid move. We should do that. Like, if Lorne made the universe, what would it be like? Oh my God.
Oh, I dread to think. No, if Lorne made it would be him and loads of little girls, and that's it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. So be like 7 million people on the planet.
And his mum to make chicken pot pies.
Yeah. And then just like 6,999,999 Kaylas, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, eventually they'll have to give it, and they don't have free will. So, because he'd be quite happy with a woman with zero personality anyway, wouldn't he? So,
well, he somehow fell in love with a robot.
Well, he fell in love with a robot. He fell in love with Kayla, who was had about as much personality as a bag of flour.
That's been talked about endlessly. Is just Kayla. There was nothing there, was there? But even like with this is the thing. When we heard the Ramona stuff for the first time, her real personality came across, because there wasn't an. I mean, obviously there was an act. I'm not having a go at that individual who did it.
Yeah.
But what I mean is, you can understand why he might have got hooked, because there was a true personality coming out there in the way that she said things, and a kind of, her mannerisms, if you will,
Yeah.
vocal mannerisms. You understand what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I think he thought with Ramona as well, because she had like some issues because she wasn't completely perfect, that he had more of a chance.
Well, I think that's why I liked Winnie so much.
Yeah.
He saw her as an equal, or even lower than him.
I think what I liked about the Winnie character was the fact that, well, I think it was her, or it might have been Debbie.
The cops are coming for you, dude. You're fucked.
Yeah. It might have been. It's been a beautiful day here. Sorry, my windows are wide open. But anyway, Winnie was like a sex addict.
Move back to Spain, you selfish bastard.
I suppose, yeah. I lived in a kind of a cul-de-sac there, didn't I? You didn't really hear the sirens. Yeah, no, but Winnie, was like a sex addict as well. So, like, that was one of her kind of foibles. But it also was brilliant because it brought all the sort of insecurity into the mix. Like, she could wind him up by saying she would suck someone's cock or touch someone's dick or whatever, and then like she would just be like, oh well, she's a sex. Oh, it was the original. It was Casey. That was the sex addict, wasn't it? Because Dan, is it Dan? No, because Joey as Paul.
Right. So who played that first Casey then? Was it Tiffany?
And Ember, both of them played it at the same, like concurrently.
Right.
But at the same time, Joey played her dad. Remember?
Yeah. No, I do remember that.
And he, in one of the pool calls, he tells Lorne off for having phone sex with her when she's in sex rehab. But what's quite clever about that is, it's like, yeah.
What did they do? Just block out all the fucking porn channels, right? You're in sex rehab, no porn.
There is sex rehab. People do go to sex rehab. There's like Sex Addicts Anonymous.
Very strange.
I mean, there's definitely like stuff for the like people that watch too much porn and that. But I think they have like sex addicts meetings and stuff, but they can be a bit sort of fucking problematic.
Right.
Still there? Yeah.
I'm reading people's comments.
Right. Okay.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, they can be problematic because when you start putting mixed groups of sex addicts together, then what's quite likely to happen?
Sounds like the premise for a fucking 1980s porn movie, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well.
What could go wrong at sex rehab? We put 30 people in.
But yeah, no. So like, but the clever thing about using that as the character is, if she did do something with another guy, she'd be like, well, I'm addicted to sex. It wasn't about the other guy. And that's why you can constantly keep him insecure.
Yeah. Yeah, so there was that Casey kind of drove him a bit nuts. But the thing is, with the other Casey, he thought in his head that was the real Casey and the other ones were fake, didn't he? Which was quite amusing.
Yeah. Well, he still thinks that Xavier set everything up, doesn't he?
I never fully understood why he got so fixated on that. I mean, obviously people were feeding into the bullshit. I assume it was probably Ember and Winnie. Yeah,
it's the early Winnie calls. You can sort of hear that the oats of Xavier are being sown into Lorne's brain. And it's sort of mentioned a few. Well, I think it was a use because there was a few times when, and the trouble is, without having sort of access to all the calls in chronological order, which I doubt we'll ever get, although it'd be amazing. But I think there was a few times where the catfish got caught out, like sent him an incorrect text message that was meant to go to someone else, or used a voice, or someone answered the phone using a voice that should have been someone else, if you know what I mean. And I think a lot of the time when they got called out, like when he started to get suspicious, they would say, "Oh, well, I was working for Xavier," and so. And then they would be like, "But now I've got rid of Xavier and I'm in love with you." I think Xavier became a useful kind of scapegoat, or like man behind the mirror, for every time a mistake was made that raised Lorne's suspicion, then it was just be blamed on Xavier, or at least that's my theory.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, there's always characters that are the source of his misdeeds, that sort of compensate for him not, his free will basically, or lack of. So what other main trait of Lorne, apart from the predatory behaviour, is the most? Because we've talked about his possessiveness and all that. What else is really a prominent theme in all the catfishing calls, would you say?
Well, he's obsessed with sex, which I find a little bit odd, because
you find his obsession with sex odd for a sex predator.
But the sort of things that his mind comes up with, I would expect from someone that's been conditioned by watching a lot of porn, which I don't think he's done.
I don't understand what you mean.
So, a lot of like the way he jumps to like, "You've sucked his cock, you fucked this guy, you'll do," like the way he thinks about women as just sort of sucking and fucking whenever they can, whenever a moment arises. And I know some of that is like conditioning from the Winnie character and stuff, but the fact that he sort of jumps to these conclusions and the things that he thinks and knows, and maybe it's my naivety, but I just think he speaks as if he doesn't really know about the acts of sex, obviously, because he's most likely a virgin, but he speaks as if someone who's watched a lot of sex and has become obsessed with it. But maybe not having porn is why he's got obsessed. Maybe porn in moderation is a good thing.
For somebody like Lorne, it might keep him in check. It's difficult to say. I don't think we could ever know how someone's going to react to it. But yeah, I know what you mean, though. I think that is just, it's anger taking over that. There is a bit of misogyny there, despite the fact that he says he loves all women and stuff like that. I think there's a part of him that doesn't like women, because he's been pretty much rejected by all of them. And all of his stories are all tragic, Paula and all those people.
Yeah.
So of course, his automatic default is just to think the worst of women, and just to think, oh yeah, they're all vile, they're all sucking everybody's cock all night. You know what I mean? It's like that's the way his brain goes.
Yeah,
but when he's drunk, he says horrible things about them, doesn't he?
And that's like his inability to sort of see anything ever from anyone's perspective that isn't his. I know you haven't heard them, but the latest calls, he gets called out for being a stalker, and he goes, "I've never stalked anyone intentionally." And it's like, what a weird way of putting that. And that's because you have stalked someone,
and he knows it. He just had his behaviour called out. It's like the Casey call, the Blue Boy call, where he basically let slip that. He didn't. He was kind of questioned because we had a bit of prior intel that he'd gone to the woman the girl, should I say, who works in Walmart, and said, "Would you like to earn some money?"
Yeah, that to me, I mean, how do you have so little self-awareness? Like, that is on sort of, that's proper like Homer Simpson levels of idiocy.
That's a good way of putting it. It's just amazing that someone in this position would think it's a good idea to say that. It's bizarre.
Yeah, you're a sex offender approaching a young woman, and you don't even describe what the job is. You just say, "Do you want to earn some extra cash, love?"
You might as well go in there with a picture, with a T-shirt, and the T-shirt's got NBC written on it, and then underneath there's a picture of him, and then underneath that, "To catch a predator." You might as well do that and just go in there. Want to earn some money? Hang on a minute. The T-shirt, the bizarre phrase, Oh no, there's something not right here.
I just honestly don't know where in his mind he thought that was okay. I mean, I wouldn't do that, and I'm 10 years younger than him and not a sex offender, and there's no way I would do that. I'd be embarrassed.
That's one of his greatest moments, that. And it's so funny. Apparently, I think this is true. Someone... Who was it now? Someone said something. I think someone contacted the local Walmart or something and said, have you had any weird guys come in there or something? And they relayed the story, and they put it to Lorne and said, right, we know that you've been doing this, this, and the other, and he coughed to it. And he basically said, yeah, well... It's like, wow, that was so amazing that he would do that. And they had I think they had photographs of him in there. They had some kind of warning
I'm not sure what was true or what was not, but yeah, I did hear that the manager or something had warned the staff about some weird old guy approaching girls.
Oh dear, Lorne. Oh dear. Where did it all go wrong?
They've probably got a board up there in the Walmart that says shoplifters and local masturbators, and it's got the shoplifters and Lorne on there. Someone actually mentioned Nathan Fielder in the chat that it inspired that what I just said, because there's an episode of Nathan For You where he goes to a cinema, and because they're losing money with people sharing popcorn, he puts a ban on the people sharing popcorn. And if they get caught, they get a photo taken and their name up on the board. But the board is also for people that have been masturbating in the cinema. So it's a joint board. So it just says at the top, popcorn sharers and cinema masturbators. And some people get caught sharing popcorn, and then he goes to put the picture up on the board, and they're like, "You're not putting my picture up on there," because it doesn't tell you whether they're a sharer or a masturbator.
Cool. I'll have to watch that.
That's brilliant, Nathan For You, and the rehearsal's really good as well. Very. Did you try it?
Yeah, it didn't get me head around it at all. Thought it was very odd. Each to their own, though, dude. I just prefer listening to the catfishing calls now, even being honest.
I like to. You got to watch some comedy sometimes.
No, I still do. I'm only joking. I listen to the robot calls sometimes when I'm at work and I need a bit of background funniness going on, because my job can sometimes get monotonous. Anyway, because that's a really, really funny, important way to end this stream. But let's just think of a quick final highlight of Lorne's how not to become a predator. I mean, that was kind of, we've gone over his obsession, his sex offender traits, his kind of misogyny, his jealousy, his appearance.
Yeah. His poor hygiene.
Yeah. How about don't send pictures of your literal arsehole? How about that?
Yeah, I mean, just why though? Why?
I know why you did it. In Lorne's world,
it's a token of trust.
In his world, it's like I'm showing you the most intimate part of myself that nobody else has seen. Now, we know everybody's seen his... He knows that the whole world's seen his cock because it's on NBC. But, well, not on NBC, but you get the point. That's where it came from. It's like,
yeah, I mean, there was that time that they put it up in Times Square.
There's one thing that he's got left that is like an intimate part of himself that he's got left in his locker. It's like a picture of his butthole. That's it. But why would any girl be interested in that?
To me, that's not a sign of like intimacy. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, some women are freaks, but it just seems weird to me.
No, he's misogynistic.
No, I mean freaks in the best possible sense, but
women are dirty.
But like, I don't think I can't. I mean, I've had women request dick pics, but never in my life has any requested.
That's not what Kennedy said. Sorry, dude, couldn't resist.
But I've never had one say I'd want. Yeah, but this is the difference, though. I've only ever sent them when they've been solicited, because I'm a solicitor.
Oh, well done.
But my arsehole is it's not for the
I've never
public.
had a request for that.
No, exactly.
No one would want one. I'd be like, hang on a minute.
And again, the logistics. Like, how do you take a good
The
photo
logistics.
of it?
Can you imagine someone messages you, "Oh, I'm sorry, Diane. I'm unsure about the logistics of your request. I will get back to you."
Look, I just don't know how you expect me to take a photo of my arsehole
Hey,
and
that's
make
the
it
point.
look
How
good.
did he actually manage that?
I don't know.
Like-
Probably got Roy to take it for him. He got on all fours on the bed.
I've got an image in my head of Roy taking a picture of one's literal asshole while he's spreading his cheeks with both hands, crouching down.
Save that for the wank bank.
Oh. Oh, God, I hope you've enjoyed this fucking... whatever. Well, this stream has been the stream version of Lorne's dating existence, ironically.
Yeah. Disgusting. Piece of shit that won't marry
If
me.
you don't listen to... Do you want to listen to the stream, or do you want to be a disgusting piece of shit?
Yeah, that's how you
start every stream like that.
Do you know what? If anyone goes, "Oh, I'm off now. Sorry, got to go to work or whatever," just be like, "No. Do you want to listen to the stream, or do you want to be a disgusting piece of shit?"
How can I fail? I'm gonna start monetizing my channel. I've just found a way of becoming a millionaire.
Do you want to give a donation?
Rather listen. Everybody in the world would rather listen to me than be a disgusting piece of shit.
Do you want to give a donation, or do you want to be a disgusting piece of shit? Do you want to join my channel membership, or do you want to be a disgusting piece of shit?
I can do merch. I can do Patreon.
Yeah. Do you want to buy a t-shirt, or do you want to be a disgusting piece of shit?
I'm gonna patent it, and all the all the kind of big brands are gonna be wanting it. Do you want to buy Nike, or do you want to be a disgusting piece of shit?
Exactly. You come up with the... Why do all the advertising executives are saying to themselves now, why didn't we think of this? It was so obvious.
All along, all we had to do was make some disgusting half-assed threat. Oh dear.
NWA's just said you need to make that the tagline of your channel. I think you should change the tagline of your channel just to, do you want to subscribe, or do you want to be a disgusting piece of shit?
The problem is, can you imagine people that didn't get it and just stumbled across my channel, be like, what the...
Yeah. They just think you're an angry incel.
Oh, Jesus. That could be like the answer to all of your problems in life. Just come out with that comment, couldn't it?
Honestly, I'm thinking of just streaming now and basically threatening people with being something awful or giving me money.
Yeah. Oh, fucking hell. That's what the scam baiters could do, couldn't it? Like, they're coming up with all these tactics to get people to ring them. It's like, just give us some money, or do you want to, they could just do that. The world
do you want to give me
Lorne.
your debit card details, or do you want to be a disgusting piece of shit?
Yeah. Well, there you go. I don't want to be disgusted. There you go. Take them all. Let me ring the bank and get an increase on my limit.
Yeah. You better, or you're a disgusting piece of shit.
Oh, mercy. Right, and on that note, guys, if you are going to not rewatch this stream over and over again and be a disgusting piece of shit, I wish you a very good day or evening, depending where you are. Hope you've had a bit of fun. And, yeah, thank you for joining me from your busy schedule of sending solicited photos of your genitalia around, Adam. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, I've got a lot of photos to catch up on, but it's fine.
Right, everybody, thank you very much. Like I said, if you've